Draft Profile Series brought to you by Celtics.com.
Welcome to the Celtics.com Draft Profile Series. I'm Amanda Pflugrad, and today we are highlighting UNLV power forward Christian Wood. And here to talk a little bit more about him as a player is UNLV head basketball coach Dave Rice. And Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Great being on with you. Thank you.
And Coach, he was such a great rebounder for you guys as well as a finisher. But what other strengths do you think he has?
Well, I think the thing that stands out for me, having coached Christian Wood for 2 years, is just his versatility. As a freshman, he came off the bench for us, worked extremely hard on rebounding and scoring and even his low post and mid post moves in the offseason. He came back and averaged a double-double for us at UNLV, played all 33 of our games, and was the top 10 in the country in double-doubles.
And what really is his work ethic, though, day in and day out?
Well, I think that's one of the things that is improving with Christian. We first got to know him as a junior in high school, and we recruited him and brought him to UNLV, and his work ethic has improved. And I think Chris would be the first one to say that it needs to continue to improve. But I just grade young player as an improvement, and he made tremendous improvements from his freshman year to his sophomore year, where he, again, became a very reliable scorer for us, both on the perimeter and in the post, and became one of the better rebounders in the country. And he blocked shots, for the season, had 90 blocked shots, was one of the top shot blockers in the country. Just does a variety of things, and I think as he continues to progress as a player, will be a very solid player in the NBA.
And the scouting report on Christian said that there were some concerns really with his shot selection as well as his decision-making a little bit. What were you able to see out of him at UNLV?
Well, I think a big part of that, too, was just improvement in all areas for Chris. I mean, he became an all-conference player for us at UNLV. As a freshman, he was more of a face-up shooter, and I think his success that he had as a sophomore was because he started to understand that he could have great success in the low post and the mid post, making plays for others, and he did that. And again, he became a very reliable rebounder for us, shot blocker, and overall good player.
And he only shot, though, 28% from the three-point line. How do you think he's going to be do in the NBA with that?
Well, I've always believed that, first of all, he improved greatly during the time that he was with us at UNLV. We only had him for 2 years. He was young when he started with us. He was a young freshman and then a young sophomore, obviously. But he started college when he was 17 years old, still only 19 years old. And I just think that he'll continue to progress and grow. And I believe that guys, just like they become better shooters from high school to college, they become even better shooters from college to the NBA, and I think that's no different with Chris.
Obviously, he was having a lot more playing time his sophomore season than his freshman season, but just the maturity level that you've seen from him, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, he's matured greatly. He's a good teammate. He's a guy who is popular in the locker room. Again, Chris would be the first one to say that his work ethic needs to continue to improve, but I've seen great improvement from the time that we got him at UNLV, and he became a very reliable player for us, became a go-to guy, and also became a guy who was a force on the defensive end as well, from a shot-blocking standpoint and defensive rebounding standpoint.
There are a few concerns with his overall frame. Do you expect him to put on a little bit more muscle mass heading into the NBA?
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. I think if he were, 21 or 22 years old, I think it would be maybe more of a concern. But Chris is still only 19 years old, won't turn 20 until September, so he's still a young player. He's accomplished a lot, had a very good sophomore season as a 19-year-old, and so I think that there's a lot of room for growth for him, both physically and from a basketball standpoint. But again, he's made great improvement for us, and I have no doubt that he'll continue that same progress as he moves to the next level.
You mentioned those improvements, but just from the basketball end, what do you think he needs to work on to be a more polished player overall?
I think the biggest thing with Chris is just consistency in terms of his work ethic and his approach every day, and he's improved greatly in that area. But there's nothing on a basketball court he can't do. He's a versatile player. He can score the ball in a variety of ways. He can block shots, he can rebound, he can run the floor. He's a very talented player. He has the lateral quickness to guard out on the perimeter, but also the length, 7'3" plus wingspan, can block shots. He just has his great potential as a basketball player, and I've seen great improvement in him, and he knows how much harder he needs to work, but I just think he's got a great future in the game. Very, very good person.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Celtics.com, and we wish you and Christian the best of luck heading into the offseason as well as the draft.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Make sure to stay right here on Celtics.com for more player draft profiles leading up to the draft. I'm Amanda Pflugrad. Thanks so much for watching.